Somewhere along the way, I think a lot of us were taught that wellness had to be bought. Like we needed another product, another subscription, another expensive routine. But honestly, some of the most healing things that I've ever experienced started with a seed. And if you think you need a perfect garden, a huge backyard, or years of experience to start a wellness garden, you really don't. You can absolutely start small and create something beautiful, peaceful, and nourishing. So, welcome back to the garden. Y'all, it has been raining here in Georgia for like 2 weeks. And while a lot of people were not happy with that, I actually welcome the rain. And what I can tell you is that the garden is so thankful for all of the rainwater. And while I was not able to get out in the garden like I had planned, what I can tell you is that the garden definitely got some good soaking. But today we're talking all about how to start a wellness garden as a complete beginner. And this video is really for the person who wants to grow food, herbs, and flowers, but maybe feel overwhelmed by all of the information online. Or maybe you've tried gardening before and things just didn't go the way you hoped they would. Maybe your basil died. Maybe your tomatoes struggle. Maybe you felt like everybody else knew what they were doing except for you. And so I want you to know something right now. You do not have to know everything before you begin. Gardening is actually something you learn by actually doing it. And today I want to help you simplify this whole process. So first, let's talk about what a wellness garden actually is. Because when people hear that phrase, they sometimes think it has to be this giant homestead or this perfectly curated Pinterest garden. But honestly, a wellness garden can be as simple as a few containers on your patio. To me, a wellness garden is a space where you can grow food, medicine, and beauty together. You can grow vegetables that nourish your body, herbs that support your wellness routine, flowers that bring beauty, support pollinators, and honestly, just make life feel softer and more joyful. That combination matters as well because wellness is layers. It's not just about eating healthy, it's also about slowing down, getting outside, working with your hands, learning patience, feeling connected to what you consume, and honestly reconnecting with yourself again. And this is actually one of the reasons that I created my free guide called The Beginner's Guide to Growing Your Own Wellness Garden: How to Grow Food, Medicine, and Beauty, even if you've failed before. Because I know how overwhelming gardening information can feel online. Everybody is telling you different things. Everybody has a different method, and sometimes beginners walk away feeling like gardening is too complicated when it really doesn't have to be. So I wanted to create something simple and beginner friendly that helps people feel confident enough to finally start. And honestly, one of the biggest mistakes I see beginners make is trying to do too much too fast. They buy like 20 plants, then they try to grow everything at once. They watch advanced gardeners online and then they think they need to do all of this immediately. And then they get overwhelmed. Y'all, your first garden does not need to be impressive. It just needs to begin. You do not need to know everything first. Even experienced gardeners are still learning every single season. Gardening is not about perfection, it's about observation, experimenting, adjusting, and learning over time. So if you're a complete beginner, I always recommend starting with just a few simple plants. And for a wellness garden, I personally love combining herbs, vegetables, and flowers all together. So for example, holy basil is one of my favorite herbs to grow. Not only is it beautiful and pollinator friendly, but it's also wonderful for teas and wellness routines. It's just something so peaceful about stepping outside and harvesting herbs you grew yourself. I also think tomatoes are amazing for beginners because they can help you build confidence. Now, I want you to be sure that you hit the subscribe button because we are growing a new variety of tomatoes in a growing basket this season. And there's just something truly, it's nothing like just harvesting your first homegrown tomatoes. Like, tomatoes are a must have in my garden just because of the homegrown taste. But you will also hear me say to grow something that you and your family loves, because this is what's going to make gardening so fun. And then rosemary is another one, especially for us here in Georgia, because it handles our heat and humidity really well once it's established. It smells amazing, it's beautiful in the garden, and you can use it in cooking and your wellness routines as well. And because we're in June here in Georgia, Zone 8A, we've officially transitioned into our heat loving garden season. So now we're planting things like tomatoes, bell peppers, basils, flowers, herbs, all the things that really thrive once the temperatures warm up. And one thing I always tell people is this: learning your growing season matters more than trying to copy somebody online who lives in a completely different climate. Social media sometimes makes people feel like they're behind, but gardening is seasonal, it's regional, and very personal to where you live. And honestly, gardening became so much deeper for me than just growing plants. I think, especially in today's world, a lot of us are just tired. We're stressed. We're overwhelmed. Or, as my kids call it, we're overstimulated. We're tired of constantly rushing, constantly consuming, constantly feeling like we have to be productive every second of the day. Now, I know I'm talking to myself on this one because I constantly have to tell myself, you do not have to be doing something every single second. It's okay to sit down. And that's how gardening really helped me. Like, it helps me to slow down. It reminded me that everything doesn't have to happen instantly. Seeds take time, growth takes time, healing takes time. And there's something incredibly grounding about walking outside, checking on your plants, harvesting herbs for tea, or just simply sitting in the garden for a few quiet moments, minus the mosquitoes. I started to realize wellness wasn't always about buying more things. Sometimes wellness looked like growing tomatoes, drying herbs, making tea from plants that I grew myself, learning how to nourish myself in a slower, more intentional way. And honestly, that changed a lot for me. So now let's talk about actually getting started as a beginner, because I really want to simplify this for you. You do not need a huge backyard. You do not need a greenhouse. You do not need a raised bed immediately. You can absolutely start with containers, a patio, a balcony, a few grow bags, even a sunny corner outside. And if you're starting small, that's great. That's actually perfect. Actually, I recommend it. Containers are one of the easiest ways to begin because they help you learn without feeling overwhelmed. And one thing I always tell beginners is focus on consistency over perfection. Water constantly, observe your plants constantly, spend time in the garden constantly, because gardening teaches you through experience. Your garden will literally teach you what works. And in my free wellness garden guide, I actually break down beginner-friendly plants, growing basics, simple steps to help take some of the overwhelm away, because I know one of the hardest parts for beginners is simply figuring out where to start. And another thing I really want to encourage you is this: please do not let fear of failure stop you from gardening. Every gardener has lost plants. Every gardener has made mistakes. Every gardener has planted something at the wrong time before. This is all part of the process. Failure in gardening is not proof that you can't grow things. It's actually proof that you're learning. And honestly, some of the best lessons comes from plants that didn't make it. Gardening also teaches you patience in a world that constantly wants everything instantly. It teaches you to slow down enough to notice things, new growth, pollinators, the weather, seasonal shifts. And over time, you start realizing that gardening supports more than just your body. It supports your nervous system as well. There's something deeply calming about growing flowers, herbs, and vegetables together for me. Beauty matters, joy matters, and creating peaceful space around yourself matters too. So if you're wanting to start a wellness garden as a complete beginner, or maybe not, here's what I want you to do. I want you to start small, pick maybe 3 to 5 plants, choose things you're actually excited about, learn your growing season, and give yourself permission to learn as you go. You do not need to have a perfect garden to benefit from gardening. You just need to start. And honestly, one of my favorite things about a wellness garden is realizing that you're growing more than plants. You're growing confidence, self-sufficiency, patience, connection, and most of all, peace. And sometimes the smallest seed can completely change the way you experience your daily life. So if you want help getting started, again, y'all, make sure you download my free guide, The Beginner's Guide to Growing Your Own Wellness Garden, How to Grow Food, Medicine, and Beauty, even if you failed before. So I'm going to link it in the description for you. I'm going to put it like on the first line, so make sure you download it. And if you enjoy this kind of slower, practical wellness gardening content, make sure you subscribe because we have a lot more growing to do together. So y'all, make sure you download that guide and we'll talk again soon. Bye, y'all.